All right, this one hurts a little bit, Kyle. The Colorado Avalanche had a 2-goal lead going into the third period against the LA Kings, and 4 goals against a very good goalie who's been playing very well, I should say. And they let it slip away. Goes to overtime. Had an opportunity in overtime. Then it goes to a shootout where the Kings get the extra point. I don't know why, man, but this one, the Avs have losses, obviously. This one, to me, stings a little bit more than the other one so far. A lot to get to. Another episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
There we go, man. And you know what? I blame myself because I put up a tweet stating they had 4 goals and there's still 20 minutes to go. And that was the end of it. So if you want to put the blame on me, people, feel free. Go for it. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. You can follow us on our YouTube channel. I don't know why I started with YouTube. I never do, but yeah, follow us on our YouTube channel. You can follow us on Twitter, LOPN_Avalanche, and Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. All right, man. Like I said in the beginning, the Avs let this one slip away. It was that type of game that they've been playing recently, where they get off to a pretty slow start. The first was very pedestrian, very kind of boring in a sense, and things really amped up in the second. That's where they looked really good. Cale Makar especially, and Mikko Ranta, like all of the names that have been playing well for the Avalanche continue to do so. And you built up a 2-goal lead to go into the third. And right off the bat, there's a power play, and the Kings get a goal on that. And then they tack one on later on. Nothing. Well, I shouldn't say nothing happens in overtime. They had a very good opportunity with Cale Makar in overtime to win it. But he couldn't just collect the puck off a rebound. Goes to a shootout where the Avalanche have been pretty good in shootouts this year, but they couldn't get anything. And the Kings got 2. And that was all she wrote, man. This one, because it was a 2-goal lead, which the Avalanche have not had a lot of recently, and you let it go, and the opponent, because the Kings are a good team. I think because of those two things, this one just sticks with me a little bit more than some of the other losses this season so far.
This one, it's evident for a couple reasons. The first period was very slow, very just disgusting. The second period, all the goals that were scored came from the heartbeat of your current Colorado Avalanche. It's like JT, Cogliano, Makar, Erod, and Mikko had his hand on some form or facet of these goals. And they pushed, they tried, and they weren't just like, I know, like it had the feel of a greasy, gritty game. The goals the Avalanche got were just incredible passes.
Yeah.
Just great opportunities, smart hockey plays. And then the Avalanche took a breath. And then it kind of sunk back to that tempo of the first period. And you could never catch back up. Then it's the talent. We've talked about the injury problems with the Avalanche until we're blue in the face. And you can't take a breath with this current Avalanche roster because it is 1.5 lines against the world. And when you take that breath, other teams are coming because this is a statement game for whoever you play. And when you take that breath and you step off the gas, teams come back. We score 4. They even it right back up. It's a learning experience, and you have the Maple Leafs coming up, and you better learn quick because they're going to embarrass you if you don't learn some lessons from this game.
Yeah, you can't really use the excuse me, the injury excuse, you can't really use it at all anymore. These guys have been together for longer than we really thought that they would be at any point in this season. But the way the injuries have played out, like these guys, it's been you've had these guys going up and down and up and down, and the ones that are there now are kind of, they've been there for a little while. So, the injury thing can't come into play, especially the fact, you had a 2-goal lead. It's not all of a sudden like you built up a 2-goal lead. Did the injuries cause that?
Yeah.
You can't use it as an excuse when you blow that lead. It's just I don't want to say it's so tough because you always have to give the other team credit, and I know a lot of times fan bases don't want to do that. They want to put all of the blame on their team for losing, and there is some blame to go to the Avalanche. There's no doubt about that. But the Kings are a good team, and a two-goal deficit to them, they know that they can overcome. They just have to amp up their play, and they did in the third. What was shots on goal in the third? It was I'm going Buddy the Elf there. That's shocking. It was only 7-8 in favor of the Avs. So but they had all of the momentum. I mean, they seemed like they were possessing the puck for the majority of the third, and that penalty to start the third, the power play to start the third, did not help. So then now they're only down by 1, and they have pretty much a whole period to work with, and they're just a good team. They're a good team, and they play kind of like a simple game, but a very good kind of old-fashioned, old-school style of hockey. They don't blow you away with their speed. They have a lot of talent. And I'm not going to sit here and say the Avalanche took them for granted. I don't think they did. I just think they got punched in the mouth in the third. And, the Avs just, they didn't have an answer. They had an answer in the second. And that answer was Cale Makar and Mikko Rantanen. But it was just, the power play was atrocious. Absolutely atrocious.
And they had the opportunity to take the lead in the third period with that interference call on Erod with like 2:47 to go in the third, where you could have capitalized. This is why we talk about you have to address the power play for instances like this. You capitalize, you win the game, everybody goes home happy. You couldn't capitalize on that power play, and then you just drain the clock with full strength and go into overtime. Like, they had the opportunity. And I think Altitude had the stat. At one point, they were 1 for 4 on the power play with 2 shots.
Probably.
And
yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
It's confounding how that happens. But that's just Avalanche hockey right now.
I mean, if there was ever a time you missed Nathan MacKinnon on a power play, it was this game for multiple reasons. One was just to get the puck into the offensive zone. That was a struggle in and of itself. Nothing was working. The drop back pass wasn't working. The dumping and chasing was not working. They couldn't get anything set up. And the Kings penalty kill is not good.
No.
They made them look like the best penalty kill in the league.
I almost messaged you. I think it was the third or the fourth power play we had. They did the drop back pass, and then Newhook would dump and chase. So it was the longest setup for a power play that nothing happened. As soon as Newhook would dump and chase, he would lose possession of the puck, and Los Angeles would clear the puck out. And I'm just astounded. And then you kind of like, why is this power play not working? You could have just taken that whole sequence of a drop back pass, a slow one more pass up at the blue line. Newhook takes it, rims it all the way around. LA gets it, clears it,
kicks it out. That's it.
You can't do anything with that.
I think the Avs probably spent more time in the neutral zone in their own defensive zone than they did in the offensive zone on their power plays. I'm kind of joking, but it wouldn't be surprised if that was actually accurate. Yeah. They just could not get anything going. And like I said, the absence of Nathan MacKinnon was glaring. It's been glaring since it's been out, but definitely last night.
And it pickles your brain when you see goals like you do in the second period of like that just the perfect that JT Comfer, where it was just, I mean, he could have shuffleboarded, like he just
Yeah,
pushed it in, and it would have been a goal. Just the passing was so pristine,
it
and how
was
they set up
night and
those
day.
and the bookend periods, nothing was going right, and everything
Mm-mm.
went right in that second period. And you have to sit back. I feel bad for Bednar. He's going to have so many more gray hairs, and he's going to, you know how they have like the pictures of the presidents when they start and when they end their
Yeah.
presidency. That's how
He
Bednar is going to look this season.
well, I think after this game, he's gonna go through an entire 4-year term in one game. But yeah, it was yin and yang for them against the Kings. So a lot more to get to with this game. But first, we're going to take a break and hear from the NHTSA. And it's the like we said, it's the holiday season. Christmas just passed, obviously, and you have the new year right around the corner. And obviously, people are going to be out and about and enjoying themselves and maybe having a little bit too much in the alcoholic beverage category. And you're going to be hanging out with some friends and putting back a few. And then a few becomes maybe a few too many. And as the evening comes to an end and people start to head out, you think of calling for a ride, but you feel like you can handle this. You live nearby, you can make it home okay. It's not a big deal. What are the odds you'll get pulled over? Even so, what's the worst that could happen? Well, your insurance could go up, you could lose your license, you could lose your job, you could total your car, and the worst, you could potentially kill someone. Everyone knows about the risks of driving drunk. The results are tragic and often deadly. However, that still doesn't stop everyone from getting behind the wheel under the influence. That's why police officers are out there right now looking for impaired drivers on our roads to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Play it safe and plan ahead to get a ride. It only takes one mistake to change your life or someone else's forever. Drive sober or get pulled over. That's a message from the NHTSA. All right, sir. So yeah, I don't know if it's because I think it is that because the Avs won the cup. It's like those 20 years plus years of not winning it, and then you finally win it. So much that you just got the monkey off your back. So much is just lifted off your shoulders. I watch games differently now. I still root for them as hard as I ever root for them, but like following like a loss, I don't get like so like just distraught over them. It's weird, and I think that has to do with winning the cup.
Yeah.
But this game brought me back to the pre-recent Stanley Cup victory feeling I had, and I think it, like I said in the beginning, I think it's just because you had the 2-goal lead. It's against the Kings, and the team they haven't hit a stride.
No.
They had that 4-game winning streak, and you're like, okay, that's good. And then that seems like that was a month ago, and that
Yeah.
was last week. So it is what we were just kind of talking about. This just up and down, and you rode the wave. Usually it's game to game. What you've seen this past month from the Avalanche was all encompassed in this one game. And you
Yep.
could see, the first was just they just didn't get their legs at all. And I put up a tweet about the heat map, which their most occupied area in their offensive zone was just inside the blue line, which there was nothing by the goal in the first. So in a way, it's like, okay, that happens. And then you go into the second, and how the second one, like, you like to see that. You like to see a team that still, can make adjustments and make those adjustments work for them. And in the second, it was the Cale Makar show.
Yeah.
He took this game over. And when it happened in the second, you're like, man, that you feel really good about going into the third with him playing the way he's playing, a 2-goal lead at home. He's just getting the car started, and and then it kind of just all falls apart again. So it's like, man, you ride this wave with the team. And yeah, like they scored 4 goals, which they haven't scored four goals since December 1st. So they went almost the entire month of December in between scoring 4 goals in a game. And the goals that they were scoring, like the Andrew Cogliano one, that's goals that they're not getting.
Yeah.
Like just coming up the wing. That's the Nathan McKinnon special right there.
Yep.
Is just coming up the wing and just firing. And it was almost like Cogliano shot that puck just to get it on net. And maybe, I don't know who was, coming down the slot, could maybe grab a rebound. But he threw he fired a perfect shot on net. And when that went in, you're like, all right, like maybe things are today's the day things are changing, because those goals have not been going in for the Avs.
And you're like, finally, this is what it's like on this side of puck luck. It feels good. But I completely agree with what you're saying. Like, the problem with the Avalanche right now is there is no identity to quote unquote Avalanche hockey. There is no, it's
Maybe
other
from top
than
to bottom. I can see where you're going with
that. Because last year you knew no line is safe. You can't take one shift off against this Avalanche team.
Yes.
And the defense is so good. They're going to make whatever goalies back there look good. You can't tell me there is a motive or a theme or a identity with this Avalanche team, and they don't know what they are either. Like, that second period was the greatest hits of Mikko, Cale, and the fragments of last year. This team right now, with all the injuries and the call-ups and send-downs and putting this roster together, it's like watching Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator Dark Tomorrow. Like, there are glimpses where you're like, that's the Terminator, but then you're like, this hasn't aged well.
Right.
That's what you're looking at with this Avalanche team. Like, it's not too far removed from the Cup win. The logo's the same. The jersey's the same. You're like, this is the team. But then, like you said, it reminds you of the days of yesteryear where you're like, oh, yeah, it takes a lot to put a team together and to make that push for the Cup. And this team needs to figure out how to do it consistently, because consistently as a team, there is no identity.
I actually wrote that down in my notes, was like, you don't have that feeling that any line can go out there and score.
Yep.
And even, you had last year, you kind of did, you had that feeling, like maybe not score, but take control. And you had, no matter what line was out there last year, you had that feeling of, okay, like if they can get a puck out of the defensive zone. You know what I mean? Maybe a fourth line isn't going to score all the time, which, what fourth line does, but you were confident in them being out there. And right now, even on the top line, you have the confidence in that top line that they can do that. They can get a puck out of the defensive zone if they need to. They have the best ability to score, but like you said, top to bottom, you don't have that feeling about this team, and it shows in how many goals they are scoring. Yeah, they got 4 last night, but they are struggling to score. And with all these guys that are out that are goal scorers, it's kind of natural that it's going to happen, unless you get these guys that are coming up that are just going to flip some switch that we didn't know that they had. It's going to be a tall task. We've known that. That's nothing new, but it just makes you appreciate all of those guys that are out right now, and they're trying. Like we keep talking about Ben Myers, like he's working his butt off and he's trying. It's just, they play the game of, the top line is going to be the top line, and that's obviously their best opportunity. And everybody else plays that, let's just dump the puck in, have another forward who's coming in on the right side or the left side, whatever the opposite side of where the puck is coming in. They'll whip the puck around and play the board game and try to win the battles against the boards. Maybe, we get a puck that scoots out and we get a good opportunity that way. It's tough for anybody outside of the top line to formulate plays and be like the aggressors. It's almost like those teams are waiting for mistakes to be made so they can capitalize on them. And that's that's a tough way to win games. And I
Yeah.
think, and you're seeing it. You're seeing it in the lack of goals that are scored, and how the Avalanche don't have that just line after line after line that just punishes you. They just don't have it right now. That's, I guess, maybe because we're spoiled, because that's how we're used to them playing. And I guess in another sense is like, if you're going to say that's okay, all right, then you have to change the way that you're playing and the style of play that you have. But you're not getting a good return on it right now.
No.
You like you said, you had that nice 4-game winning streak, but those were tough games. You came out on the winning side of that. Overtime, shootouts, 1-goal wins, which, that's good for the duration of a season. But man, you can't rely on that stuff here or game after game.
You're going game after game of riding the hot hand. If your line's producing and on the plus side of the plus minus, you're getting double shifted. Like the fourth line doesn't exist. And you're basically, if you're producing and you're doing things well, as soon as you get your wind, you're going back out there.
Hmm.
And what's the reward for producing? You're not bringing the team up. Your line, congratulations for scoring that goal. As soon as you get your breath, you're going back
You're
out
back out there.
Like,
yeah.
what's the benefit of that? And you're and whatever line Newhook is on, you always hear, well, he works really good with Hudon. He works really good with, like, whoever he's with, he works good with, but that whole line never ascends and makes that step up. Then you have these random performances from Cogliano, Comfer, then you'll have like a Lehkonen sighting, and then Erod just kind of being that Wild West kind of bounty hunter kind of guy who just shows up and has a goal here, a great performance, and then he disappears because next line up. There needs to be just some consistency with how these lines roll out, and we have to start utilizing a fourth line to give the top three a rest, because as soon as Nathan McKinnon and Nichushkin, as soon as they start coming back, we're going to have Makar and we're going to have Miko sitting out because we have worn them to death.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it was a good game. It was an entertaining game from, just a hockey fan standpoint. But when you're on the losing end of this one, it stings a little. And you saw, in the second, that was one of the best periods that they've played all season long.
Yeah.
And you had sometimes, and we talk about this, like sometimes the Avs try to get like a little like too cute with how they play. Especially on like power plays and things like that, making that like extra pass, or going for like the perfect looking goal. So we kind of get on them sometimes when they do that. But like in the second, when that stuff is clicking, boy, is it pretty.
Yeah.
And they were doing that. That pass, Mikko Rantanen was just like an assist, or I want to say, I mean, he had 2 assists, I think, on the day, right? He had 2 assists. So, but his passing was just incredible. That pass to Comfer on the power play, he had a wide open net.
Yeah.
And I don't think he realized how much of a wide open net he had. And the pass that he made was not an easy pass. That was
not at all.
Pretty much right on the verge of the crease, going right over to Comfer, who had an even wider open net, and he buried it. That was beautiful. And then the other pass that he got from Cale Makar to I think it was Erod, right? For that other goal. Like that was close quarters, and it was just a blind pass to Rodriguez, who buried it home. Man, they were like the Harlem Globetrotters out there, and Cale Makar just skating around everybody. That goal that he made, just going to the left and shooting to the right, I can't tell you how difficult that is to do and have control of it. You felt like you're like, this is in the bag. I know it's a 2-goal lead against a really good team, but you felt like $1 million after that second. It's like, all right, another game where you're slow to get rolling, you don't like to see that. Okay. But the way that they answered in the second, you're like, I gotta feel good about the third. And it kind of just fell apart. And it started with that crazy penalty
Yeah.
that I think it was Cogliano who flipped the puck, and it kind of went, it was going over the glass. It was gonna be a delay of the game. And Brad Hunt, maybe instinctually, I don't think it was instinctual. I think he was deliberately trying to stop the puck from going over and being a penalty. He knocked the puck out of midair while he's on the bench. So he prevents a delay of game penalty, but you can't do that when you're sitting on the bench. So he gets a penalty, and that's where the Kings got that first goal in the third to start their comeback.
And talking about those cute passes,
Mm-hmm.
those work when the team believes in themselves, and when they don't, and I think you could see this a lot with just kind of how frustrating that first and third period are. As soon as they gain the offensive zone, their first instinct is just take a shot. I feel bad for every opposing team's skate, shin, and knee.
Mm,
The amount of block shots they're getting just because they know that's what the Avs are doing. You gain the zone, you get just a glimmer of the lane. Just get in front of them because they're taking a shot. Opposing teams are getting so many block shots on the Avs right now because they are just
yeah.
taking just whatever comes to them and they don't
Yeah.
wait. Just
Yep.
if they would just wait, that's what the second period looks like. If you just wait and let plays develop instead of trying to make things develop.
Yeah. I mean, as far as stats go, I mean, it was an evenly played game. You know what I mean? And you when you have two teams that kind of play a game like this, you always hear like, "Oh, that would be a fun 7-game series," and I think this could be one of them if it were the
The
Avs and
Kings
Kings.
bother me every year.
Yeah, yeah, they're a good team. They're a good, solid team. They just play a solid game. And you look at um, stats of the game. Both had 27 shots on goal. Kings just won the faceoff percentage, 53-47. We talked about the power plays. Hits were just about equal, 24-25 in favor of the Avalanche. There's your blocks.
Yeah.
22 blocks for the Kings. Like, they got in the shooting lanes clearly. So, I don't know. Like I said, I mean, this one just it's gonna stick with me, and I haven't had this feeling following a loss. I don't think all season. I don't know what it is about this game. Well, I do know. It's like I said before. It's having that 2-goal lead. So I think we need to get to a sound check for this one. Yeah. So all right. LOA sound check for anybody that doesn't know. We pick a song that we feel best summarizes the most recent game. We put these songs up on a playlist over on Spotify. Just search LOA sound check. This is volume 2. You can go get volume 1 if you want to go back and listen to last year. Yeah, and follow it. So what do you got for today, sir?
Everybody knows me. I'm the heavy metal guy. And the weird like ska punk guy. That's why
Shaggy Von Metal.
You betcha. That's why I'm bringing you Busta Rhymes.
Oh, curveball.
Giving you some Busta Rhymes. Give me some more. The DNA's there. Like, give me more of the second period. I don't need any more of the first and thirds. I don't need any more overtimes. I don't need any more shootouts. Give me some more second period. I want that. String that together. Give me some more of that. Like, it was great to feel like Avalanche hockey again. Give me more.
Yeah. Is that old Busta Rhymes? Is that like 90s Busta Rhymes?
I think it's a little newer.
Is it new?
Yeah.
Because I am way off of the Busta Rhymes.
Oh.
Yeah.
He was on the Scooby-Doo 2 soundtrack, if I'm not mistaken.
Is he really?
Yeah, on the movie.
I gotta say, Busta Rhymes, good actor.
Yeah.
Good actor. There is a movie out there, kind of like this. It was a low, I would say low budget. Doesn't mean like the movie was amazing. It's called Narc.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason Patrick's in it.
There's
Ray
a video
Liotta's in it. And it's like a cops and drug type of movie.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal movie. Busta Rhymes is in it, plays a very good role. So go check that out if you can find it. It was like an independent movie. And I remember hearing about it because they were they were running out of money and they would go back every like 3 or 4 months and like film a couple scenes that they had money to make. And I'm like, I gotta like watch this movie. It was really, really good.
I remember the movie poster for that. I could see it now.
Yeah, excellent movie. So I'm going to take your metalheadness and go with the band. I don't think we've had any Rammstein songs on either volume. So I am going with the Rammstein song. Rammstein. I know some people pronounce it differently. You say tomato, I say tomato. The song Mine Hurts Brent, which translates to My Heart Burns. And that's just where I'm at today, man. Like I said, I'm taking this loss hard, very hard. And like you mentioned, maybe that's another curveball that's getting thrown into this. Is you mentioned that the next game is against Toronto.
Yeah.
And, every game is winnable. And you look at, we just lost to the Coyotes 6-3.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the Coyotes just beat the Maple Leafs 6-3. So break up the Coyotes. I think that's another, like, I wanted to get that win. And this was like looking good as a good, solid win against a good, solid team. And you can use that going into Toronto or when Toronto comes to you. And I just have a little bit of concern, like, are they going to press now? They're going to press too hard because they know they got to get 2 points. They don't want to, and 1 point is fine. Again, it's not that they lost in regulation. They did get the 1 point, good. But just the fashion that they lost, are they going to press a little bit too hard against a Toronto team that's a good Toronto team? So that's why just so much involved in this game, why my heart burns. That's where I'm at.
And I'm a Rammstein guy.
You say Rammstein?
Yeah, and
I'm sure there's like diehards out there that are punching their radio right now because
some of the best live shows you will ever see.
Oh my God. Like they literally went to they took courses in like pyrotechnics. So it not only would it be awesome, they wouldn't burn their face off in the process. So
incredible stuff.
It's fantastic live shows. So all right, everyone, that is going to wrap it up. Tough loss, but tomorrow the sun will rise. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. And like I said, check us out on our social media outlets. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, and I am Chris Maselli, and this is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. Check you guys later.